Coming in at number 8, finishing last in the Pacific Division, to nobody's surprise, I have the San Jose Sharks. Now, do think this team got a lot better, and I think they're just going to continue to improve every single year. Last year, they finished with like 52 points. This year, I have them finishing with 69 points, which is a pretty big difference, pretty big improvement for them. I think these forwards are going to score some goals. You're still surrounding your young guys who are going to be superstars in the coming years, like Celebrini and Will Smith. You're still surrounding those guys with veterans like Toffoli and Wenberg, and Eklund's going to be good too. Just another good young guy right there. This team, I think, in terms of all of the teams tanking for the past few years, I think this team's future looks the brightest. I think there are cups in the Sharks' future, but definitely not this year, because I have them finishing last in the Pacific, at number 8. I think the forwards are the strongest part of this team. I still think the blue line is horrible. They brought in Dmitry Orlov, who's pretty good, but other than that, I mean, Ferraro's just not that good yet. Lil Jagrin is all right, but he definitely shouldn't be your top pair defenseman. And then, Desharnais, whatever. And their goalies, I like that they brought in Nedeljkovic. I mean, they had better goalies at the start of last year, Mackenzie Blackwood being one of those goalies. I think Nedeljkovic was better than Jari in Pittsburgh, but that's still not saying much because it's Pittsburgh, and he's still probably going to be pretty bad, probably even worse with the San Jose blue line in front of him. And then their other goalie, the Nashville guy, Askarov. I think he's supposed to have a bright future, everyone says. But I mean, it's still the Sharks, and they're going to get pummeled most nights. But I do like them to improve from last year. So there it is with the Sharks coming in at number 8. And while we're at it, welcome to the video. I thought we'd just waste no time and get right into the predictions. But we're going to be predicting all 4 of the division standings for the 2025-2026 NHL season, starting here with the Pacific. I have some pretty hot takes this year, and that is kind of a surprise given that nothing really happened in this NHL's offseason this year. Nothing crazy. It's been a very boring offseason, but it is the NHL. Anything can happen. Teams are going to fall off. Teams are going to come out of nowhere and be great, and that's what I'm here for, to deliver all the hot takes to you. I've seen a bunch of other people making these kind of prediction videos. The difference between their videos and my videos that you're going to watch right now is that their predictions are wrong and my predictions are going to be spot on. Also going to do a couple other little nifty things throughout these videos, so stick around, sit back, enjoy the show. Let's get right into who I think will be number 7 in the Pacific. My hometown hockey team comes in at number 7 in the Pacific, which is exactly where they were last year. So sad. This franchise is honestly a joke. I see some people even predicting that they might have the worst record in the NHL. The only reason I'm not doing that and putting them above the Sharks is my love for guys like Joey Decord. I think Brandon Montour is the best player on this team. Vince Dunn's solid as well. Shane Wright is my favorite skater on the team. But other than those guys I just named, this Kraken have no forwards. They suck. They did nothing to solve their scoring problem. The last 2 years, they cannot score goals, and they're going to score even less this year. So bad. They, at the deadline, got rid of Bjorkstrand and Gord and Tanev. The year before that, they got rid of other guys, and then the year before that, it was Sprong, Donato, and Geeky. I'm going to cry thinking about those guys. But listen, we picked up Mason Marchment and Ryan Lindgren, paid them too much money. I really like the signing of Kako. I like Kako, but just like I said, this, one of just the most mid forward groups in the league. You got some veteran guys that are just getting old and are honestly becoming useless on the ice. Specifically, in my mind, I'm thinking of Jordan Eberle and Jaden Schwartz. I think the Kraken might even trade Jared McCann, the best goal scorer in Kraken history, franchise history. And this team is just going to be bad this year. And I think they should be. I think the Kraken should absolutely try and tank for McKenna. I think the new management and the new coaching might be for that purpose. I think Joey Decord will prevent them from becoming absolute last in the league because he is that good. And honestly, the defense on this team isn't that bad either. The blue line, I'd like to see Alexiak get moved. Um, but, obviously Philip Grubauer as well. But maybe we just start Grubauer for as many games as we can to tank for McKenna and get super low in the league. I will not personally bet against my Seattle Kraken because that is too sad. But as a Kraken fan, I would suggest to everyone out there who is a gambling man to bet the unders on the Seattle Kraken. I have them getting 74 points in the Pacific this year. Their over/under from the odds makers are at 78.5. By the way, I didn't mention that for the Sharks, but their over/under was 70.5 points. And the Sharks' odds to make the playoffs was plus 1400. The Kraken odds to make the playoffs are plus 460, but guess what? It's not going to happen. The Kraken, just super disappointing. I'm not looking forward to watching this team at all. And they come in seventh in the Pacific. Coming in at number 6, I have the Calgary Flames. I have them finishing with 79 points, a big regression from last year's 96-point effort. The books have them at 83.5 points, so the books also think that they are going to regress quite a bit from last year's campaign. And here's why. They didn't really make any off-season additions, and it seems like their strategy is to just get the young players as much time and experience as possible. They got a lot of young guys, and they're looking towards the future of this organization, maybe trying to get a better draft pick as well. I was super low on them last year. I thought they were going to be one of the worst teams in the league last year. They absolutely proved me wrong. But instead of giving in and being like, oh, the Flames, they're actually good, better than I thought. No, this team is still bad, and they probably overachieved a lot last year. They're going to be worse this year, especially if they're going to trade Nazem Kadri, which I think that is a very possible thing to do. And also, Dustin Wolf's workload, I think, is going to be a lot larger than it was last year. They get rid of Dan Vladar. I don't even know who they bring in as the backup. I think Devin Cooley might be one of them. But I think Wolf's numbers are going to come down a lot this year. I don't think he's a bad goalie, but I just don't think I'm predicting him to have a down year, and maybe bounce back next year. I'd love to hear what Flames fans think their year is going to look like, but it really feels like this organization is just gonna try and be like an AHL team this year. Just get a bunch of young guys, a bunch of experience, a bunch of playing time, really make them feel like they have a chance, and then finish in the bottom of the league. And yeah, I have them at 79 points. I was really going back and forth on the Flames and the Kraken because honestly, I think these two teams are very similar. They both have just a bunch of mid-ass forwards, a decent blue line, and then just like a backbone great goalie that can kind of steal you games. I think the Flames, especially just recency bias to their 96-point season last year, are a little bit better than the Kraken, but I'd love to hear what some other people think about the Flames, so let me know. But as for me, I got them finishing 6th in the Pacific, not doing much. 79 points for Calgary. One more note about Calgary. They got off to an insanely hot start last year, starting off like 6-0. And I think maybe that's what caused them to be like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, let's push. We weren't really expecting this. But I'll tell you what, if they start off this next season the opposite, like even just like 2-3, or like just kind of what they're supposed to be, even if it's just like a mid start, then they'll be like, all right, yeah, this is what it's supposed to be. Let's go for this draft pick. Let's actually tank. And I think that's much more likely. I think last year was kind of just like, whoa, look at this start. Okay, let's go. And they're gonna come back down to earth this year and probably tank and sell at the deadline and be bad. There we go. That's it on Calgary. Coming in at number 5. Here we go. Let's see who's next. Whoa, it's a hot take alert. It's a hot take alert because coming in at number 5 is the LA Kings with just 85 points. I have them missing the playoffs, coming in 5th in the Pacific. And if you're a Kings fan, don't be too alarmed like the sound may indicate you to be, because I actually don't have much of a reason for putting the Kings out of the playoffs this year. They've made the playoffs and had 99 points each of like the last 4 years. And this isn't the first time I've predicted them to finally fall off. I did the same thing last year, and they finished the season with like 105 points. However, the way that this offseason went for LA was just so frowned upon that it feels like, and the fact that they just got bounced by the Oilers for the fourth year in a row, the morale in this entire organization cannot be good. You still got guys like Kopitar and Doughty who are just getting old. They're going to be fossils on the ice out there eventually, and they just didn't do anything exciting with this roster to make me have any optimism for them in the offseason. And so I'm just going to take a shot here and say that this roster and this team just kind of goes under. And 85 points is not terrible. It's not, Sharks and Kraken, detrimental worthy, but it's for the Kings, it's a pretty bad season, and I think their time has come. And my hot take is I have the Kings regressing quite a bit and missing the playoffs next year. All right, and with that cash money sound, we have our first bet of the 2025-2026 NHL season, and with a 13.5 difference between me and the book's prediction at 98.5 points for the LA Kings, I am taking the under for the LA Kings total regular season point total. And I'm also going to sprinkle a little bit on the LA Kings to miss the playoffs at plus 255. Yeah, I'm going all out on the Kings downfall this year. So yeah, we'll see if that's cash money in the pocket this year. Time will only tell. And let's move on to number 4 in the Pacific. This was kind of a tough one because I do think that the Vancouver Canucks have a chance to bounce back after last year, but it just depends on so many factors. The main one being if Thatcher Demko can stay healthy. They get rid of Rick Tocchet, who I actually really liked as a head coach, and they re-sign Brock Besser. They don't have JT Miller anymore. Quinn Hughes, one of the best defensemen in the league. There's some things to like about Vancouver. I also love Kevin Lankinen. Like, I think he could be a starter if it weren't for Demko, if Demko goes down with an injury. But my problem is just their forward depth. I think the Canucks could have some trouble scoring. The one guy they brought in was Evander Kane. I actually think Kane is underrated. I think people hate on him because he takes a lot of penalties and he played for the Oilers. And he's just got a lot of drama around him. But I think he's a decent goal scorer. But I think that the Canucks' bottom six is much to be desired. They dropped Dakota Joshua for basically nothing. They just kind of dropped the cap space and haven't done anything with it yet. So we'll see if that changes anything. But this team is just a gamble. I don't really think no one really knows what they're going to be like. A lot of people think that they haven't done anything and they're just going to be the same, if not worse. I'm not really seeing anybody being like, oh yeah, Canucks bouncing back this year. They're in the playoffs. And so it's hard for myself to come to that conclusion as well. So I have the Canucks finishing with 92 points, which is pretty much just about where the books have them as well. So yeah, I'd love to hear what Canucks fans think of their team this coming year, but I just can't bring myself to believe that they're anything special or anything different from what they were last year. I suppose they got rid of the drama. I think a lot of Canucks fans are banking on Elias Pettersson bouncing back. I'll believe it when I see it. I think he could. I think Brock Besser could even have a great year, along with Quinn Hughes and all of them. But who else do they have? I don't know how much depth scoring they have. I think their blue line's overrated. Um, so let me know what y'all think of the Vancouver Canucks. But I have them missing the playoffs, which I suppose spoils my Central rankings a little bit because for the second year in a row, I have 5 teams from the Central making the playoffs. And I'm sure you're all wondering where the hell this number 3 team is. So here we go. I now have to convince the world how the Anaheim Ducks are going to finish above the LA Kings and the Vancouver Canucks in the standings. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'll tell you what. The Anaheim Ducks impressed me last year. I thought they were going to be another 65-point team once again, and they got up to 80 points last year. The books think they're going to get even better by a couple points this year, with their over-under being at 82.5. I have them taking an even bigger step. I like what they did in the offseason, adding some much needed forward depth. And honestly, you look at this lineup, this forward lineup, and it's not that bad for the Ducks. I think they're going to be pretty good offensively. I think they're going to score a lot of goals this year. I like them bringing in Chris Kreider. I'm a big Chris Kreider fan. Um, I don't think their blue line is amazing, and that's probably their biggest weakness. But I love Lucas Dostal. I always thought he was better than John Gibson, and they finally moved John Gibson. And they bring in Peter Mrazek, who I was always such a huge fan of too. So I think this goalie tandem's going to be good, and we just needed a lot of goals from the Ducks. A lot of goals, and I think they're going to get them. And I mean, it's a hot take for a reason. The reason everything's in red right now, and it's because not a lot of people have the Ducks making it this year. I think they finally do it. I think they did their whole rebuild the right way, and they made a jump last year. I think they make another jump this year. I'm excited for Anaheim. As you can see, I only have them getting 93 points, barely squeaking into the playoffs with that number 3 seed in the Pacific, um, and just literally 1 point above Vancouver. This was really hard for me to do, putting them over Vancouver, and I think it's going to come down to the wire between these two teams to see who's going to make the playoffs. And I decided to just be spicy and give it to the Anaheim Ducks. And so there we go. That's why we have Anaheim at number 3. For my second cash grab in this video, I am taking Anaheim over 82.5. I think the fact that they jumped to 80 last year and got even better in this offseason, I think 82.5 is a little too low for this team. I have them getting 93. It's a 10.5 point difference, so I'm going to take that jump and maybe even sprinkle a little on them to make the playoffs, which is sitting at plus 250. So it's kind of a big trade-off with the Ducks and the Kings. Forget about the Canucks for now. If we just talk about the Kings missing the playoffs and the Ducks making that jump in place of them, then we got some pretty good plus money on both sides there. So, yeah, cash money for the Anaheim Ducks, baby. Let's go. I have the Edmonton Oilers scoring 103 points in the regular season, getting second in the Pacific. And to be honest, I was all over the Oilers last year, picking them to win the division, picking them to win the President's Trophy, win the Stanley Cup. I was all over them. They were very close to winning the Stanley Cup, but come up just short. And to be honest, this team is still very good, probably still one of the best teams in the league. But it's obvious to say that they're not like the greatest regular season team. Like, when's the last time they even won the Pacific Division? I couldn't tell you. And so it's hard to pick them to just suddenly win it this year, especially when we're about to talk about who's going to win it at number 1. But the additions and subtractions for the Oilers, they pretty much just get Mangiapane in for Corey Perry, which I think is a very good trade-off for the Oilers. Perry getting old, Mangiapane pretty good depth forward. And they stick with Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard for now. And honestly, I'm not the biggest Stuart Skinner hater. I think that he's underrated and he's good enough. It can be debated. But I think that if they want to win the cup, they can't do it with Skinner. I think we've all come to that conclusion now. So we'll see what they do. I wanted the Oilers to get John Gibson. He goes to Detroit. I think they messed that up there. I think they should have got John Gibson. Not really much else to say about the Oilers. I pretty much have them right where the books have them as well. The books have them at 104.5. I have them at 103. But yeah, not really much else to say about the Oilers. They're still one of the best teams with some of the best players in the world. They come in at number 2 in the Pacific. All right, so that's the best sound effect I could find for an award winner. And for this award, we are going to have Connor McDavid winning the Rocket Richard. I think that's kind of a hot take. His odds are plus 2,200. He's like the 10th most likely guy to do it. However, here's why. He's in a contract year, and I think after losing 2 Stanley Cups, I think he might get a little pissed and might want to take matters into his own hands and score goals. He won a Rocket Richard before, I believe in 2023, scoring like 63 goals or something crazy. And so he can do this. He's not just a passer. He can score goals. So I'm taking this hot take opportunity to take McDavid for the Rocket Richard. And while we're at it, we are also going to take Connor McDavid for the Hart Trophy, which is the MVP. I think if he wins the Rocket, he's pretty much guaranteed to also win the Hart. So his odds for the Hart are plus 200. He is the most likely to win the Hart. I see a lot of people picking McKinnon to win the Hart, and I say fair enough, but just to go with my prediction of him winning the Rocket, I'll take him for the Hart as well. And that's it for the Oilers. Let's go on to finally number one in the Pacific. Finally, we have the Vegas Golden Knights winning the Pacific Division. I'm not going to waste too much time here. I think the addition of Mitch Marner kind of explains a lot of it. This forward group is just insane. All four lines are worthy and capable of scoring a ton of goals this year. Eichel, Stone, Marner, Barbashev, Hurdle. I mean, William Karls, Riley Smith. Like, this is an insane forward group. One of the best blue lines in the league. I would say that Alex Pietrangelo being injured and missing probably the whole year is a huge hit to this defense. And I say huge because he's so good, but it's also not that huge because they just have so many other good defensemen. You got Braden McNabb, Shea Theodore, Noah Hannafin, Zach Whitecloud, Jeremy Lauzon. Just a stacked blue line. I think this team's biggest problem, my biggest concern, is in net with Adin Hill. I think he's going to have a ton of pressure on him. I think if Vegas got another backup goalie to just relieve some of that pressure off of Adin Hill, I think that would help a lot. It also scares me because Hill has been prone to injuries in the past, which can cost Vegas their seasons sometimes or cost them their seeding. But, I mean, other than that, he's a cup winner. He's a capable goalie. And even without him, this lineup is just stacked. And to be honest, with the way Edmonton lacks regular season consistency and just dominance, like Edmonton is a playoff team, 100%, not a regular season team. And with that being said, I just don't see anybody touching Vegas when it comes to winning the Pacific Division. And for my final lock of today's video, I got the Vegas Golden Knight winning the Pacific Division. Odds are at plus 150. They have the best odds to win this division, and there's a reason why, because I don't think anyone else stands a chance. In fact, out of all the divisions this year in hockey, I like Vegas's odds to get number one the most out of any of the other number ones in the other divisions. And so you can thank me later for this free lock, but I got Vegas taking the Pacific Division plus 150. That's going to do it for my Pacific Division rankings. And honestly, I mean, the Pacific was not super tough to rank. I mean, you got your Sharks and your Kraken and your Flames at the bottom. You got Vegas and Edmonton up top. 3 through 5, I think you can maybe debate and argue a lot of between the Canucks, Kings, and Ducks. I decided to just get super hot with my takes. It's not just blind takes. I got my reasons, I explained them, but we'll see how that actually shakes up. If you agree or disagree with any of these takes, let me know in the comment section below, especially if you're a fan of one of these teams, because I'm a fan of the Kraken. I spent probably the bulk of this video talking about how shit they're going to be. But if you're a fan of the Canucks, the Oilers, the Flames, whatever, any of these teams, the Kings, Ducks, tell me what you think of your team. Enlighten me, please. I'd love to know what you guys think, because you guys are probably better experts on those teams than I am, what you think you're going to get out of your teams in this coming year. If you enjoyed the content, like, comment, do all that crap. Check out the other division prediction videos. I'm going to be dropping the Central next, probably, along with both of the Eastern Conference divisions as well. Thanks for tuning in, sticking all the way to the end. You're awesome if you did that. And, I'll talk to you. Peace.